This is BnL, Brody and Lucas. We have Marino with us today. Say hi, Marino.
How's it going, buddy?
Hey Marino Hapi,
Ready?
for anyone that's not familiar with him. Bit of a well-known character, we'll say, within the sport. Q Sports, that is, not just pool, but riffing as well. And I believe you've spent a little bit of time on a snooker table, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So yeah, most people would know you for one reason or another.
Yes, correct. Mainly through my referees, but
Yeah, look, it's I don't think anyone puts their hand up to be a ref because they want to earn friends.
No.
But I think most people would appreciate your riffing style and the fact that you're no nonsense, no bullshit.
Yep.
You call it how it is.
Correct.
Right? There's no friends, there's no favours, there's no backhanders. And I mean that's all anyone can ask for in a ref. There's there's one upset party with a call on it from a ref.
Always one there, but the thing is that with me is, as everybody knows me,
Yep.
I'm a straight up type of guy, and if I said, I'll call it.
Yep. I mean, it either is or it isn't,
Yep.
right? So, and that's
who
on
you
you to
are.
make that call.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. If someone
Correct.
wants to argue, go get your ref's badge, and you can start
Yeah,
making
you
those
can
calls.
be in my position where I was.
Yeah, it's funny. Some of the bigger arguments I have had have been with refs, not reffing, but playing against them.
Yes, yes.
And them saying, "Oh, it is this," and I'm like, "No, it's not." And yeah. So anyway,
Yeah,
some refs,
so what do you guys come and see me as? It's this.
yeah. Some refs should know better. And then also, I'll take the grain of salt there. I should know better than to argue with some refs sometimes as well. So yeah.
Well, the way I look at it is, if you're out refereeing, you on the floor as a referee with the referee shirt on. If you're out playing, you're a player, not a referee.
Correct. Yeah, that's right. And that's a
Why
bit of
I
a
stipulate as a referee's been in referees.
hard pill to swallow for some people, but yeah. And look, I've seen some bad calls from refs,
Yes.
but I've seen some terrible behaviour targeted at refs from players. So yeah, like I say, that's probably why we struggle to get a lot of refs in New Zealand, because it's a pretty thankless job a lot of the time, right?
Yeah. So I was one of the senior referees. I think it was from, I can't remember which club it was, but I was at it was somewhere up in Auckland, and one of the players was having to go at my referees, and he was only a trainee. And I was standing in the background, and it was starting to get a lot more heated. So I went over there and said, you don't need to talk to my referees like that. Please treat him respectfully. And I told him to go and do his job.
Yep.
And I told him to step back. So I was looking for a free ball. Didn't like the call. Asked for a second opinion. And I was right there next to him. And I just basically done the call. Pretty much it was no free ball. And he still wants to argue with it. And I said, well, can you argue with me or go to the control table and argue with it?
Yeah.
You do have that 10 minutes of protests, but 9 times out of 10, when you're the senior referee and you come through and make that call, there's very rarely going to see fault in a senior referee's value of making that second call.
Yep. Yeah, look, like I say, there's always usually one party that's upset with the call.
Yes.
And it's 9 times out of 10, it's that free ball.
Yes.
Right. And that's pretty labour intensive from a referee's perspective.
Yep.
That free ball. I mean, sometimes it's cut and dry. I've even had someone that is a ref call me over to act as a ref as I was playing on a table. I think I just finished my game, and they asked me to come over. Oh, is that a snooker? And they said, oh, are you a ref? I said, no, I'm not a ref. They said, oh, can we get a ref? I said, what for? They go, oh, is that a snooker? I said, you don't need a ref. They go, why not? I said, because it's not a free ball. And the person that was asking me is a ref, and they're like, oh, really? I'm like, not in a million years is that a free ball. I'm sorry. So just quickly, for anyone that might be chiming in, not familiar with the New Zealand Charter Club rules, if you snooker your opponent in the sense that you can't cut or play both extreme edges of at least one ball, it's deemed a snooker, and therefore the penalty is a free ball, where you can nominate one of the opponent's balls or the black ball for that one shot to treat as your own for that one shot.
Or you can make them play it again.
Or you can make them play it again, yep. But yeah, just for anyone that might be tuning in going, what the hell is a free ball? Yeah, so that's what a free ball is. In New Zealand, only New Zealand, it's nowhere else.
Love the rules.
Yeah, I think most people that play them do love the rules, and they've been around and adopted and adapted over the years to the point where I think most people are happy with them. The only unfortunate thing is it doesn't really make sense to anybody else either visiting or puts us on the back foot when it comes to overseas competition.
Well, there's a couple of pro players came over and visited with us with those rules, and they said they really enjoyed the rules.
Yep, I remember Easter Classic probably 18, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Is it Alec? I can't remember his last name. From Australia, anyway.
Yeah.
I can't think. He's a very, very well-known player. Not Epinatus. It's something along the
Somebody from Australia,
Greek-sounding name. A wicked player, not just with English stuff, but 9-ball and that. Very, very well accomplished. And he came home and got to the final against Phil Wilkinson.
Oh,
and the fact that he even got to the final of the Easter Classic was an achievement in itself. But I think there was a bit of a book being run privately, and they ended up having to close the betting because no one was going to bet for him because Phil was obviously going to outplay him. If he couldn't outpot him, he was going to outplay him, right?
Yeah.
And he did. That was the end result. Phil took that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, he struggled with the rules,
Yes.
and he's like, look, I don't mind them, but they don't really make sense in regards to anything else I've played. It's like, yep, they're unique. That's certainly one way of looking at it. They are certainly unique.
Yeah. I came I'm pretty new to the game as well, or in the CNZ kind of space, and when I first thought of them, I was like, mate, this is just so foreign, and there's almost no point in playing these rules. But it kind of come last few years and playing in the last couple of tournaments and stuff, and you're kind of like, oh, actually, there's a lot of merit in a lot of the shots and choices that you pick with these rules, especially trying to work out a way to kind of stitch your player, not enemy, but the other player up without giving away a snooker. There's really an art to it, and it's
certainly a fair rule in the sense that there's no skullduggery, right? So from that perspective, and that's why they were brought into the clubs, because they were trying to get away from pub rules, where pub rules varied so much from one pub to another, and the amount of skullduggery that was involved in pub rules made it very unfair. So that's why these rules came into play, to go, right, we need an actual rule that we're all going to adhere to. And it worked. It worked. There's been some changes, but I think they work. But they're very, very fair. And I've heard a lot of chat just recently about people still saying, oh, they need to bring in the must-hit a cushion rule, like there would be in red and yellows or international rules. And my argument to that is quite plain and simple. There's only one reason that cushion rule is there, and that's because you're allowed to snooker. And you can't just roll up behind your ball to snooker them on stuff, so you must hit a cushion. It makes snookering just that little bit tougher. And in NZ Charter Club rules, there is no snookering, therefore there is absolutely no need. And I know, after playing international rules for a couple of weeks, and then going back to Charter Club, it feels weird to not hit a cushion, right? But there's literally zero need for that rule to be implemented in Charter Club.
Not in national rules, that's for sure. It makes it a lot more harder for especially these up-and-coming players coming in as well.
Yeah.
Especially the ones that's been playing the rules for years. Changing that rule is just going to make it so hard for anybody who comes in. It's only going to make a bonus whoever plays in the international rules. And
I think where the rules are at the moment is kind of in a good place.
Yes.
Like, there's a lot of admin work with the refs, obviously, like yourself. But I think it's as fair as it could be.
Well, it is. That's all it is. Is that just as much as knowledge you got on the rules is the advantage to your ability of playing.
Yeah, I think one of the massive turning points for these rules were how they're played. That probably saw it a little bit more attacking than it used to be. Was that rule off the break?
Yep.
So back when I used to play in my previous pool life, so 20 odd years ago, if you broke and sunk a ball, you only had to nominate what set you wanted, and you were on it.
Yep.
Unless you fouled, I believe.
Yes, if you fouled, then
it was
open table.
But so I could break, sink one ball, have a horrible table, take what set I think's best, and just roll one over a pocket and control
the whole game.
Control the frame. So that rule being changed definitely opened it up.
Turned into a potting game.
Definitely. So
and I think that's one of the best rules that they actually brought in.
I hated it at the time. I hated it at the time because
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
that's the only that's how I win all my frames.
Yeah.
I can't pot out against everybody. That was the only thing that gave me any hope. But in hindsight, it was definitely a right move.
Yes.
Yeah. It made it a much more.
I think they got changed back. I think they got changed in 2012 at Manado.
Okay, yeah. Well, so I would have been about 24, which would have put me in 2005, 2006, somewhere around there potentially.
Their rule was doing when I just came on the scene.
Right. Well,
I just come a referee.
My last nationals, the last nationals I played back then was down in, I think it was either Hornby or Cashmere, one or the other. And I think there was a guy called Shirl. I don't know if you know Shirl.
No.
He used to have long hair from Christchurch, I believe.
Probably known by face.
And him and I had a bit of a battle. I'm not saying this has because of me, but him and I had a battle. He was 2 frames up on me, and he was just clearing.
Yep.
So I was like, right, I've got to change tact here. I've got to tie him up because I can't outpot him. And ended up winning 3-2, and he didn't qualify. It was our last match of the day, and he didn't qualify, and he was pretty gutted. So he stood up at the AGM and brought up the rule that break rule needs to change, and he referenced our game. He goes, I played some guy that got one ball and just tied me up straight off the bat, and it's not fair, this and that. And he's right, like, he had a good point. But at the time, I'm like, shut up, man. Like, take away my only way of winning. And then I thought it was the following year, so it was taken into consideration at that AGM, and then it was in maybe a year or 2 after that, I thought it had been adopted, but I was out of the sport by then anyway.
I think Jeff Bullis changed that for us.
Right.
In that sense, when Wiki and Jeff was still around.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, I think it opened it up. So on the note of talking about rules, are there any rules within, let's say, the Charter Club stuff that you think need a bit of an amendment, or something that could be introduced that would make it even better, or changed in any way? Or do you think we've pretty much hit the nail on the head for now?
We kind of hit the nail on the head. It's just it needs to bring out to all our referees. I'm pretty sure Barry Appleton will probably be listening to this as well, is that we need, as us as referees, we need to get in it as a group and actually making sure all our referees actually in the same boat on these rules.
Yeah, that's fair.
So with me, Mike Ryan, Richard Tahara, and Barry Appleton, and obviously some one of the referees, the master referees down in Christchurch, Simon. Sorry, I can't remember his last name. We all basically know the rules.
Yeah.
And I've even spoken to Matt Leach, and basically me and him's on exactly the same boat. But there's some rules as these master referees, they know from the interpretation on the rules.
Right.
And then we've got our own interpretation on the rules. So
well, there is, so just to cut you off a bit, but you and I sat down,
yes.
We did that riffing thing,
yes.
right? And I went in there going, you're not going to teach me anything. I know. I know all the rules, mate. And my goodness, was I wrong?
Actually, it was actually hard case.
Yeah. So when you get down to the nuts and bolts of it, it's like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't know that shit. Okay, I'm really quite behind here.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I know you'll probably remember the frame that we had at the Cosy Club one night, where I had you tied up and you played into my ball intentionally, giving me a multi, and I said, play it again. You're like, no, there's no playing an option. It's already a multi. I'm like, I didn't know that. Okay. And that was it was a lesson, and it was like a 25-minute frame.
Yeah.
But I'll forever reference that in way of a learning experience, right? But I don't, there is still room for interpretation a little bit with some of these rules, right?
Yes.
And I think we went through that with our reffing course we did that day. Yep. Everyone had kind of a different opinion on the question. I'm like, oh, yeah, it's not quite black and white enough. But so you make a good point.
But like I said, we need as all our referees in the North Islands and in the South Islands need to come together and actually making sure we're on all of us is on the right page. Because say, for instance, I'll probably come and ref one of your guys' games saying it's this. And then the next day, another referee saying, no, it's us.
Yeah.
So in a way, I do admit, yes, we need to pick up on our refereeing skills.
Yeah.
But it's all a matter of how we're going to do it when Barry Appleton and Mike Ryan's in the behind the scenes.
Yep.
And I'm trying to do that for us. And that's one of the things I said we need to do that quite quickly and smartly.
So, and do you guys get together at the likes of the Nationals and have a bit of a refs meeting or something like that, or North Island, South Islands?
So Mike Ryan and Barry Appleton talks to each other, and then Mike relays to our North Island referees. Obviously, Barry relays to the South Island referees. But then now it's just coming to a point now, there's so much difference in the rules between different interpretation.
Right.
I think I said to Mike, put this to Barry and let's try and get it as all of us is together, even if we come halfway down. They come halfway up, we come halfway down.
Yeah.
To just have a weekend thing. And making sure all of us is on the right page, because I got this interpretation and this is what mine is. And I'm with Barry Appleton's, with the way he's looking at it, with Matt Lee.
Yeah.
Mike Ryan's got these interpretations. And 9 times out of 10, all of them marries up.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of making sure you're saying the right interpretation.
Yeah. No, well, that's good. And it's good that you're conscious of it.
Yes.
And you're working on it.
As a young fella, as a young referee, when I first started out refereeing when I was age of 15, that's when I've noticed through the changes out through the years and how we used to be coming in when Alan Francis and Trevor Higginson was on board.
Yep.
And then they started splitting away from the referees, and then now we've only got the one. There's no such thing as Northern Area referees anymore.
Okay.
It's all in one CNZ referees.
Right. So who are our master referees in New Zealand? Mike Ryan?
So it's Mike Ryan and Barry Appleton at this point.
And Barry's down south?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I've actually spoken to Mike Ryan about coming on the podcast and having a chat, and he was actually quite keen. I enjoy getting these perspectives from, well, he's much in the same boat as you. He's not just a referee, he's a player as well. And I think that's really important.
Yes.
I think that's also important when it comes to the way committees are structured, for instance.
Correct.
There should be player involvement, player perspective taken in, and not people making decisions that may determine the outcome for other people, but it's not relevant to the people making the decisions, right? So, bit of accountability there, and putting themselves in that boat where if I make this change, it's actually going to impact on me. So they look at it from a slightly different perspective, and I think that's good. It's the right way to do it.
The annoyingest part being a referee is when you actually are playing and then they yell at a referee and you look over and see where all the referees are, and then here's you in the middle of the game and they're just right next door and they just want you to watch a shot.
Yeah, right.
And I was like,
can be a bit disruptive to your game. Yeah,
and then I missed my ball. I said, up and play your shot.
Point out the shirt you're wearing.
Or I'll go.
I'm not a ref today, mate. I'm playing, and I'm in a semi-final. Go away.
Yeah. So it's that could be a really annoying part for myself. It's like, cause
always a ref.
Always a ref in that type of sense. But I should be taking that out of my sense when I'm playing.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I've got too much respect to all players, and I don't like them waiting around for their shots.
I feel the same way in the fact, like, if you might just be walking by a table and you see something that was clearly a foul, you want to instantly chime in, but you've got your cue in hand and you're off to a game, and it's like, it's not really my place, right? So, it can get a bit difficult at times.
Yes.
All right. So there's more to Marino than just a ref. You are a player as well, like we've said. Was it last year you played with Glenn Coots and the Peers down south?
Yeah, down in Kashmir.
Yep. And you guys did quite well.
Yeah, we made it to the finals. We played
finals,
Adam Lilly and Brett Faria.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they ended up getting us 5-3, I think.
Are they pretty new to the sport? I've never heard of them.
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure you know Brett Faria and Adam Lilly.
No, I do know them. Very good players.
No, they're very good players.
Yep.
I actually really enjoyed that tournament, especially playing with first time playing with Glenn at that time.
Right.
Actually, no, I think that would have been. We played out through the year like club champs and all that. So,
right. Yeah.
But yeah, we know each other's games. Man, Glenn's just amazing.
Oh, he's next level, and his accolades back that up. Right. There's not much in this country that he hasn't won somewhere along the line. He will forever be synonymous with the sport, right? He could not play ever again, and his record would be unrivaled
Yeah,
for a long
His
time.
record will be always there, and he's now we've come very, very close to each other.
Yep.
Yeah, no, playing with him in the nationals, and not only that, in other tournaments, it's just like he just got us out of from something to nothing to doing something with it. And
Yeah. Well, another part of
he
his
had kind of faith in me and finishing off a frame on one in the last section play, and I said, "Oh, okay. Can't have something more." Put down that first one, and they said, "Just go for it." I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Yeah. Well, it's not bad being led by one of the best, eh?
No. No, it was actually like. And then it's hard case we played in our first post section game, and he's me trying to set up the live stream for the trainer and the guys in Hamilton, and he's already just done a broken clear. So you gotta wait.
Did you even toss the coin?
Yeah. And sure enough, he said, "Yeah, I tossed the coin, broke and clear." I thought, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
You stick to that, dude.
One of the things I think I respect the most about Glenn, and not just Glenn, but specifically Glenn, is his ability to change codes and still dominate.
Yes.
Right? So 9 ball, 10 ball, American 8 ball, red and yellows, snooker, every table he touches, he does extremely well. And there's a few people in that camp. Phil Wilkinson, Healy White would be another one as well. That doesn't matter what table or what cue he's got, it's going to be done very, very well. And there's a few players that it seems to be the American side of things that you either love it or hate it. But a lot of players that just won't cross that line, and I quite enjoy watching players do really well at whatever it is that they're playing. So yeah, that's...
Well, it's just like when I partner of Glenn in the nationals last year, and then but I played with Aaron Williams the year before, and me and him made it to the semi-finals, and I was thinking, okay, is my game just going up, or am I just playing the better players?
Yeah.
Well, that's what made me thought about it. And then actually, no, I made it to the finals with Glenn last year, and like we were playing a frame against Billy White and I can't remember his partner's name in the last 8. And
Bean Blake, maybe?
No, it wasn't Blake.
No.
It was he's from Kaiapoi.
One of his mates down. Yeah.
And so we ended up playing there, and then he wanted me to go first instead of him, and I said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yeah, no, you're long potting's on." So I ended up potting down that first long pot, and got us back into the game, and that made it 1-0.
Wow, yeah.
But I respect, like I said, I respect every single player that we played against. Not only that, is that just because we made it to the final, I'm not going to change my attitude of it.
Oh no, definitely.
I've seen players been into the final and change their attitude, and I said, "Yeah, okay, you'll keep."
Yeah, I think the peers thing is quite an interesting game, isn't it?
Yes.
It really, it's quite a specialised version of the sport.
Yeah.
And finding someone that you truly gel with.
Yes.
Oh man, it can be magical.
Well, before I partnered with Glenn, I was playing with Keith Hakui, and me and him did quite well in the northern area.
Oh, yeah.
Never played in the national tournaments. I don't know why, but yeah. We ended up just playing in northern area tournaments. So I've just been going to playing with different partners in nationals, and if it worked, it worked. If it didn't, I'm just trying to get the practice on for the singles.
Yeah. Well, that's I think how most people look at the peers, and it's a good bit of under pressure warm up for the singles. Also, I mean, it's still prestigious to win it, obviously, or go as deep as possible, but it is a warm up. I see the CT nationals, they do it around the other way, so they play their singles first and then their peers, and you can't play in the singles unless you're playing in the peers, which I'm like, actually that's it's a different way of looking at it, but it works. I've not played in a CT.
I wouldn't mind playing in CT nationals. Never played in it before, so
no, it sort of flies under the radar a little bit. Kind of forget that CT clubs are, for anyone listening, Commerce and Travellers clubs. They are scattered throughout New Zealand, and they've got their own entity as much as they're affiliated with Clubs NZ. But I do forget about that stuff. It's not as well publicised, I think. It's maybe I'm just not on the right Facebook pages. I don't know, but it's But no, they do it a little bit different, and it's not a bad thing. I think there's always room for improvement.
Yes.
Regardless of where anything's at or how well it's doing, there's always room to make it better.
Yes.
I think that sort of gets a little bit lost at times. People go, "Oh, that's how we've always done it." Oh, that term makes me want to blow my brains out.
There's always room to more changements, and then
Just because it's good doesn't mean it can't be better, right?
but then if it hasn't been broken, why do you want to change something that hasn't been broken? That's my biggest piece.
But I think human nature is to evolve, right, and to tweak and modify and make things better, bigger, faster, stronger. So it's not broken, but that doesn't mean it can't be better, right? So anyway. So I've just got a few standardised questions here for you, Marino. I know we've sort of spent a lot of time talking about the reffing side of stuff, and I have acknowledged it, but I'll acknowledge it again. You're not just a ref; you're a player, and a damn good one, to be honest. I don't think there's too many people that want to see you in their section for any draw of any tournament. So you would invoke some fear into most players. You're known as being a good player. So let's get away from the ref side of things. So standard questions that we're probably just going to ask everyone that comes on.
Yep.
And it's pretty generic stuff, nothing controversial. For any up and coming players, right, whether they be new to the sport as an older generation or they're young and getting into the sport, what do you think is the most beneficial game to focus on to get your cueing and your timing and your stance and all of that right?
Yeah, that's kind of easy question. Practice.
Yeah, but what but in what code? In what code? So would you say charter club? Would you say 9-ball? Would you say it's snooker? Would you say it's billiards?
To be quite honest, basically Q sports is Q sports.
Yep.
If you play any game, it's basically doing exactly the same action as you're doing on snooker table,
right?
8-ball table,
yep.
9-ball table.
Good.
If you got that action there, obviously all you're just saying to focus on is the rules.
Yeah.
But the main thing I always say to players is here, if you're a bit right about the rules, if you put down 7 balls in the black, it's game over.
Rules don't matter then.
Rule doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's just like with the 9-ball is if I'm not too familiar on 9-ball, but if you can put down from 1 to 9, I felt your opponent being at the table, then you know you're queuing right.
Right. Yeah.
Now if it starts coming off a bit, that's where you need to think about, okay, I need to adjust something on my...
So focus on your ability.
Yeah.
Don't worry about anything else.
I mean, you've seen some 9-ball players as well come from 9-ball to charter club or even dabble in the snooker stuff as well, and they brilliant QS. Like, they pot with, some of them just pot with no fear, you know.
Well, you get likes of Deepak Barlow up in Pepsoi and Sani Roberts up in Pepsoi. They play a lot of snooker.
Yeah.
They play a lot of snooker, and the thing is bringing them into the 8-ball, saying it's actually good because it's telling us where to pick up our game.
100%.
Deepak Barlow won the Northern Air Open singles 3 years ago.
Right.
Played Sani Roberts in the final.
Yeah.
He played very, very well. He played to the rules to his advantage as well.
Yeah.
But in 9 times out of 10, all he was doing is potting.
Yeah.
Nobody wasn't blocking him.
I think there's a bit of an old school mentality. Well, there certainly was when I was playing 20 odd years ago, that snooker players looked down on pool.
Yes.
Right. And they came, so this is more in regards to charter club.
Yep.
So they come to the table. They know all their marks, they know all their angles, they know how to pot a ball, they know how to get position.
Yes.
And when they're at the table, they're dangerous as hell. Then you tie them up, and then they hate the game all of a sudden.
Yes.
But there was always this rivalry between snooker and pool players, and it seems like there's a little bit more crossover nowadays than there used to be.
Yes.
There's not such a divide, but I think it still exists a little bit. But I really enjoy seeing people playing multiple disciplines.
Yep.
And snooker's one of them because it's about inclusiveness. And like you say, we're doing the same thing. We're hitting
Yeah.
a ball with a stick.
Yeah.
Like, there's not that much difference, right?
There's not much difference. The only difference is you're playing on a bigger table than a smaller table.
Yeah, where all your mistakes
So,
are amplified.
If you
Well,
look
mine
at it, if you look at it from a snooker table to the 8-ball table, is that between the pink and the black spot, and where the blue is, that's actually your size of the table of
Yep.
working on down that end or the 8-ball table,
Which we're trying to be anyway.
which
yeah.
you try to be, and
Yep.
that's how you do your break buildings.
Yep.
That's how you get positioning
Yep.
on the snooker. And if you do that on 8-ball, you should be able to place that up anywhere you like.
Yeah.
You should be able to pot anywhere you like.
No, totally. But yes, I see. So today we're recording. What's the date today?
29th.
29th of September. Just watched Matt Scarborough win the final of the New Zealand Open Open snooker champs. Another one that's not just known for
Yes.
snooker. He loves his red and yellow stuff.
Yes.
Doesn't like the Charter Club so much, but likes his red and yellow 8-ball. So another one I'd like to see playing more 8-ball in the future. But another great cross-code player.
Yeah.
So just as a matter of fact, what are you using and where are you cue? What brand is it? Is it a cheap shitty rec cue? Is it something special to you? Is it hand carved by Maui? Like, is it like, how long have you had it? Is it something you put a lot of thought into? What gear are you running, mate?
So so when I very first got my cue, I bought one from Roy Clark. He had a Black Knight that was Diane's old cue.
Okay.
And when I first played with it, I really enjoyed it. Unfortunately, I had to short it down a bit because something happened when somebody tried to retip it.
Oh,
But
no.
just the way it happens. But I was still playing really well with it. I had it for like roughly about 10 years.
Yeah.
10, 15 years. And then I went to, once that got stolen, I went and gone and give me another cue. Glenn Coots gave this one to Daniel Little. And I got off Daniel Little, and it was quite tall, good weights in it.
Nice.
I believe it's a 20 ounce.
Oh, yeah. That's heavy.
I believe, yeah.
Yeah.
So I've only used to playing with 18 ounce, but
Yeah.
I've gone up to a 20 ounce with a 10mm tip
Okay.
with a black thrill on it. I love my black thrills.
Yep.
And yeah, ever since then I've always just given it to Glenn to play with. Don't ask me what they're making on my cures, but
Right.
it is they're a 3/4.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I mean, that's, some people put huge amount of importance on the brand name or the history or who made it.
Yeah.
Other people don't matter.
What's me, if I ever going to get another cue, I'll get to Glenn Coots.
Yep.
He's kind of like one of my idols on cues.
Yeah.
He knows where to pick them from, and not only that, his cues are quite balanced. So I don't. He did tell me where he gets it from, but I'm not too sure. I can't remember now.
Right.
But I'll just say to him, "Oh, bro, I need another cue."
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I'm just reminded of a quick story about Chris Bowman.
Yeah.
He, RIP, he used to be so hard out about some equipment,
Yes.
right? So he'd say, "Oh, you've got your chalk that you leave in your case that you play with during the week, and then you've got your tournament chalk that you leave in the hot water cupboard
Yes.
that you only pull out for pool tournaments.
Yeah.
So it's dry and you're not going to get as many kicks and rah rah rah." I'm like, oh wow, I've never thought about it. I didn't even know about that theory. Then he'd go on about the importance of not wearing white socks with your dress pants and your black shoes. As I look down and see my white socks showing, I'm like, oh, feel a bit targeted here, mate. He went on about it's just not the dumb thing. I'm like, oh, I'm just a dumb pool player. I've never worn dress pants in my life other than at college.
Yeah.
I don't know that. But then he'd rock up to I remember a Valley tournament in Pukekohe back in the old Valley days with Jimmy Johns. And he rocked up. It was like, where's your cue? He goes, no, I haven't got a cue, mate. Grabbed one off a rack, grabbed a pen, scribed 314 into the cue, Predator shaft logo, and I think he got to the final. I think he lost the final. He may have even won it actually, but with a rack cue.
Yeah.
I'm like, so you do all that with your chalk and you make sure you've got the right coloured socks, but you don't care what cue you use. Here I am wanting a Predator so bad but couldn't afford it at the time. I'm like, oh my God, you just, any old cue will do, but it's got to be from the hot water cupboard. But yeah, some people get a bit hung up on it, I think. maybe brand names and bits and pieces. So yeah, it's interesting to.
What's me? I'm more about feel in touch with the cue.
Or that's what it is, isn't it? I remember when I bought a Barracuda. Mike Kadaya, if anyone knows who Mike Kadaya is, he'd brought in about 5 from Australia, and he goes, "I have a hit with them; they'll all be different." I'm like, "What do you mean? They're all the same?" He goes, "No. They're all going to be different. That's how timber works, right?" I was like, "Oh, yeah." Pick one up. I'm like, "Oh my god, so much more power than my shitty $140 cue I was using at the time." And then picked up another one. I'm like, "Oh, that one feels better." Picked up another one. "Oh, that one feels even better again." Oh, so I actually got the pick, and I think I picked the right one at the time.
Yep.
But yeah, like you can have 5 identical cues. Does not mean that they're going to play exactly the same. So yeah, it's good.
I feel like the carbon shafts though, they're very similar between them.
Oh, that is,
which is new technology.
Yeah, it's far more consistency for sure. It's got to be because it's manufactured, right? You're not relying on nature to have done the right thing because of what you want to do with it. So yeah, a lot more influencing factors when it comes to the timber cues.
Yep.
And what chalk are you using? Just as
I'm just using the normal blue triangle chalk.
Yeah, can't be.
I have actually tried all the pro chalks, and I just can't beat the triangle. I love it. Any type of chalk, as long as it's green.
Oh, it's had such an impact in the sport and way of just everyone uses it. It's usually most people's first chalk. I mean, there's a lot of merit to that, right?
Yeah. Well, that's like the same with at the moment on the cue I've got with my tippers. I've got a G1 on here.
Ah, nice, soft.
Yeah, very soft. I did try a G3 and that was a bit too hard, so I went to G1. Pop Black changed it for me.
Yep.
But that's actually the first time I've given my cue to somebody apart from Glenn.
Yeah.
Glenn normally puts on Elk Master or Elk Soft.
Yeah, he makes a very nice job too.
Yes.
Yeah, he bit of a master of the craft in that sense. He knows what he's up to. Yep.
Oh, he knows how to. He's had a cue came and bent to him.
Yep.
And he looks at it and he redone it and it looks like it has never been bent before.
Yeah.
So he's quite magical.
Oh, very very knowledgeable. Yep, definitely. G1. I was always recommended to go G2, but my tip's 11.5 mil, and they only go to 10 or 11.
Yeah, 11.
Yeah. It was like, wow. If you ever do a bigger one, I'll give it a jam. No deal. But yeah, I see a lot of chat about chalk. With the Tayum obviously coming onto the scene.
Yep.
And now apparently, Q Sport or Q halls, whether it be snooker or pool over in the UK, stating only Tayum is to be used on their tables.
Yep.
If you bring any other Q chalk, you're out.
Yep.
Which is an interesting one. I think back in 20 odd years ago when I used to play, if someone had said one day we'll be paying $40 for a block of chalk, you would have been laughed out of the place.
Yeah.
And here we are, paying $35, $40 for a block of chalk.
So basically, I know. I think it would have been 5 years back. They were looking at stopping people playing with red chalk, white chalk, and black chalk.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Because it marks the table not only there, it can actually marks the balls on the white ball.
Yep.
Even real dark blue chalk.
Yep.
So, my preference rather be with the light blue or green.
Yep.
Because it doesn't mark the ball.
Yeah.
But then I still go around on tournaments and seeing people using red, white, and I said, and that's where majority of the kicks comes in.
Yeah. Well, see, my take on that, the only reason you would have red chalk is if you've got red cloth.
Yeah.
Right? That's the only reason, in my understanding. I could be totally wrong, but you only had different coloured chalks to match different coloured cloth, so it wasn't so obvious on the cloth, right? So to bring a red chalk to a green cloth, they're crazy because generally speaking, the coloured chalks are not quality chalks, right? You look at, there's a brand, I don't know if it's even still around, Pioneer. There used to be Pioneer chalk.
Yep.
Oh, it was may as well put crayon on the bloody tip, right? You left so much on the white ball, so much on the table. It was awful shit. Apologies to anyone that might work for Pioneer. Great chalk in its day, maybe. But yeah, well.
Oh, these days now with the chalks coming out these days, it's like which one do you want to prefer?
Well, it's not just we've made something that works. It's actually we've invested some time and research into making something that is superior, and I think that's where a lot of players take that Taeum, right? Because it reduces kicks and it reduces chalk on the table. But yeah, 20 years ago, it was triangle or master. That was about it.
Yes.
That was really about it.
I don't really like master that much. I've tried it once and
I bounce between triangle and master.
And I've always gone back to triangle.
Yeah. I was funny because I used to always be triangle for charter club or snooker and master for 9-ball. And I tried to find one chalk that did the both.
Yep.
But it just didn't seem to happen. So master was always my 9-ball go-to and triangle was always my English go-to. For some reason, I just couldn't find a chalk that worked for both. And I still bounce between the two of them there.
Yep.
But I just tried my Taeum last night for the first time in a long time, and it actually played all right.
Yep.
I always thought it promoted a few miscues, but yeah, it could be on me.
I've been using it for the last year and a half, and I'm still using the same block of chalk.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's right. For the money it seems to cost, it does last quite some time.
I don't know if that's a testament to how much I'm playing or not, but
normally when I use triangle chalk, I normally just let it go down halfway, and then I said, I'll get a new one.
Exactly. Yeah, I used to.
And that's like every month I'm changing it.
Back when I was a pool player, I used to get to a certain point and actually cut my chalk down, and then have half the thickness block and treat it as a new block because it was just getting such a groove. And I eventually learned how to promote a little bit more even wear and not wear that hole in the middle. But I got so used to having a small block of chalk that I'd get a new one and I'd saw it down so it would only ever last half as long. But that's just what I was used to. Have you got a favourite player, Marino? Who's your favourite player, whether it be international, snooker 9-ball, ultimate pool, New Zealand, local? Who's the player that if you were jumping on YouTube or Facebook and you're going to watch a video, who's the one you want to watch the most?
I think everybody probably agree with me on this one is Ronnie O'Sullivan.
Yep, heard of him.
He's not bad. He's not bad, eh? When I very first started playing snooker and 8-ball, I've always gone to watch some snooker tournaments, especially live feed and going on to YouTube and watching them. And Ronnie O'Sullivan always pops up, and I say, I wonder what's the fastest 147. And the way he did it, it was like, oh my gosh.
Well, it's funny because I just recently watched an interview with Ronnie where they touched on that. And they said, you did your fastest, blah, blah, blah. And he said, who cares, mate?
Yeah.
And they go, gee, you're not impressed by that? And he says, no, because it was flawed.
Yeah.
It may have been a perfect result, but it wasn't obtained perfectly.
Yeah.
So when I watched that back, there were mistakes.
Yes.
And, so therefore he dismisses that as being his greatest 147. May have been fast, but coming from a guy that's fast anyway, it's like saying, Brody, you won the fattest bloody pool tournament player today. Yay!
It's hard. It's hard case. Don't get me wrong here. Ronnie O'Sullivan's is awesome to watch, but the thing is that when he made that 147, him putting up his hands and actually chucking his chalk out to the crowd, he's back in the day he would have loved the way how it happened.
Yeah, right.
But now these days, just because he's doing it all the time, he's kind of getting sick of it in the end. And you do that. Well, how much he's done so far? 15, coming up 16?
I think it's more than that, isn't it?
Well, I think it's more than that now.
147 in tournament. Yeah, he's well up there.
Yeah,
he's well over 100 centuries, I think it is anyway.
Oh, he's
1,000. Sorry, I forgot a zero. Sorry, Lucas. Take me to task over there.
I think he's at 1355 or something like that.
Wow. Yeah.
So if you look at that compared to him broadcasting about his fastest 147 these days, but if he broadcasted about it when it actually happened, then I probably he would have said something different.
Yeah.
But now,
I suppose, like if you said to a darts player, what's the fastest? Well, if you had a 9 darter, yes. What's the fastest? Who cares?
Yeah.
I got the 9 darter. It doesn't matter how fast it was. So Ronnie kind of dismisses that as not a massive achievement just because he did it fast. I mean, he's already known as one of the fastest players around anyway. So water off a duck's back, I guess.
So that's majority of the time when I was playing snooker is like I was trying to mimic him from what he was doing in that fastest and what he actually was doing.
Yeah.
Out through to change my actions and all that, and that's what made me improve from it.
He's just ridiculous to watch. It actually it's unfair to watch other snooker games. After watching perfection so often. I mean, Trump and Allen, I mean, they're all amazing, right? But when you watch a normal game of snooker, it feels painful because you've been watching hours of this perfection. You might be like, ooh, he missed. Then you go and watch a game, it's like, there's lots of missing. But that's hey, if it was easy, we'd all be world champs, eh?
New Zealand player, I'll say it'll be Phil Wilkinson.
Yeah.
He's been my idol, Phil, and Matt and Glenn Coots. So those are the three that that's
Matt McGuinness.
Yep. And Glenn Coots, obviously. Those are the three. It's always been my idol in the game.
Cool.
Not only that, guy that hasn't, I don't know if you guys probably know, is Terry Tehira. He used to be back in the pool scene back in the day.
Okay.
And he's the one that got me into. My dad got me into the game when I was age of 12, and my very first tournament because of him, because of Terry.
Yeah.
He went around and with a jug, got some money off through the Weymouth Cosy Club.
Yeah.
Through the players and through the members, because I was a member there when I was 8.
Right. Wow.
And that's basically where I had my first tournament at the Pipkota Cosy Club. I think it was open singles or men's singles at that time. And and he was the one that picked me up, took me to tournaments.
Cool.
Played into the Glenview tournament, played in the Kiwi Fruit tournament. I played with Galen Moore.
Okay.
My first away tournament.
Right.
And my very first one I qualified in was the ham and chicken tournament in Tikawiti. So that's when I went down there with Willie Piggott and Terry.
I want to play that this year, the Tikawiti hams. Yeah.
And it's actually, I've been, so it's our case because when I went down there, first qualified, and I didn't get nowhere. And then from there, it was like of 6 years down the track, me and Richard Parata went down there.
Oh, yeah.
So we played in the singles and the pairs, and I took out the singles. And I said, well, last time I played in this was when I very first qualified.
Right.
And then that's when me and Richie made it to the final on the pairs as well.
Yeah.
And Chris Morg and Phil Wilkinson knocked us out on that one.
I think it's those local influences that really count, eh?
Yes.
Yeah. I had... I had a bit of, not coaching so much, but just encouragement from a guy, Mike Henderson, that most people listening won't know, from Waikanae Charter Club.
Yep.
And he was just a positive influence. Like, just wanted me to play. And God damn did he beat me all the time. And not because he was a flash player, but just because he could put balls in holes.
Yeah.
But he was a huge motivating factor behind me taking what I enjoyed doing to the next level in way of participation with tournaments and bits and pieces. Yeah. I mean, obviously Ronnie O'Sullivan hasn't sat down and had a chat with you about where you should go. So as much as you might idolise him, it's because he's one of the best, or the best, some might argue. But those local influences mean a lot. They really do.
So like through from the age of 12 to now, if it wasn't for the April scene or the people I've actually met through the April scene, I probably wouldn't be here where I am today.
Yep.
Through competition, through accomplished through my life.
Yep. I think there's a huge amount of merit that comes with the sport, and I think it suffers a little bit from a negative image. In way of it's at a bar, it's always at a pub or a club of some description. There's always alcohol involved, which isn't the case for so many players, myself included. Like, I barely drink at a tournament ever. But there's a real negative image of it, and there's actually so much positive that comes out of it. There really is.
Well, just like with my Q action and all that, I want to say thank you to Vince Tate to Straight Aim.
Oh, right.
I was one of his protege before he actually brought out Straight Aim.
Yeah.
got that done. He made it out of this plastic thing and got me to do it.
Cool.
And that's how I got my queuing action through it. So it does work.
Yeah,
It does really work. It's just a matter of putting the time and effort in it.
I had one go with it. A mate had one in his case, and I had a little jam, and I can't remember exactly how it worked. I felt like I was going to scratch his queue or something. Like, my queuing was so bad. I was like, I think I'll leave this to the ones that can actually be helped.
Yeah. So no. Like I said, with the straight aim, it's good for beginners.
Yeah.
It's good for the amateurs as well.
Yeah.
Can be for anybody. Just give it a go. You never know what. Speak to Vince.
Yeah, well, it's funny you
out.
mentioned Vince actually, because he's. I wouldn't mind having a chat. I've never actually met Vince.
Yep.
But wouldn't mind having a chat to him because he has been influential within the sport, right? And they're the sort of people that we do want to talk to.
Well, when you look at it, club champs, and we had the Tauranga Sits Open singles. When you have a look at Carlos Mega, won the tournament.
Yep.
And there was 3 straight aim.
Yep.
And then the next week after that, they had the clear club champs, and we had 64 players, and Carlos Mega and Wayne Davis was in the final.
Right.
Both of them are from straight aim.
Yeah, right.
So when
so
you look
there's
at
merit,
it,
there's merit in it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And if I pitched a Carlos like 5-6 years ago, he probably wouldn't have got nowhere near where he got to. Quite honest, it's just because of his action. But now, when you watch him now, I have to give it to him because he's put in the time and effort with Vince, put in the time and effort on the table.
Right.
And if you do that, merit's going to come to you, and that's what it's done for him.
Yep. No, well said. Well said. So that's. Actually, it's not quite it. So we don't finish quite yet. Marino's hanging out to get into the food that we've prepared for him. Well, we prepare for all our guests. No, okay, maybe not. Picks for the Nationals. Who have you got your eye on? Who do you think's in form currently? Who do you think has got a really good nudge? You can choose more than one person. You can choose yourself. You can choose me or Lucas either.
Unlikely.
But yeah, who do you think's got a I mean, I know there's quite a few to pick from.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're a betting man, you had to put some money on it. Where's your money?
My money will probably be going on to Roddy James. I've been watching him for the last 8 to 9 months.
Yeah.
Seen him progressing through the Easter Classic.
Yeah.
Seen him progressing through the tournaments down there.
Yeah.
He's been making it to near about every finals. And he's not playing against mugs.
Oh no, not at all.
He's played against top players, and being where he is, I just seen on Facebook he was looking for another queue. He apparently had to get that one back, so I'm pretty sure it doesn't matter which queue he's playing with.
He could play with the rat queue, I think. Yeah, once you got the hang of it.
If it's not Riley, well, somebody did say to me that Phil lost his touch, and I can tell you this right now, he hasn't lost his touch. Phil Wilkinson, I can tell you that right now. I reckon it'll be either Phil or...
Yeah, I think, no disrespect to Phil, I think he's enjoying the game more now than he used to because he enjoys the scene that has been set for it, and his objective isn't to just destroy and demoralise and win like he used to. And I'm not saying he went out to disrespect anyone, but God, he was so sharp, but he was so focused. And I think he's still as sharp as he was, but I think he just enjoys these tournaments so much that the result isn't the end game for him. He likes being amongst the scene. So
there's a couple more players like Len Coots.
Yep. He's always, I mean, it doesn't matter what tournament, he's always capable, right? On the day, whether it works or not, but he's always going to be, you can't ever dismiss him. He could be walking around with a Zimmer frame. You can't dismiss him.
And then down in the South Island, you got Steve Denton. I don't know if he's coming up.
Okay. I don't know. The draw hasn't been released yet, so it'll be interesting to see that.
The funny thing about it is last time we held the Monday Nationals, he ended up making it to the final and played... I can't remember what he played. I think he played Healy White or Adam Lilly.
Right.
So even like Healy's probably a little bit on form at the moment.
Well, it's another name that is synonymous with getting is extremely deep within a tournament, right? You see him in your section. you're gutted.
Yeah.
You see him in the draw, you're gutted. Yeah, I mean, he's always going to have the potential to go pretty long in a tournament.
With my player, if I stay focused and if I can probably be potential getting into further into the deepness. The furthest I've only been to in singles is last 16.
Right.
But apart from that, is like I know I can get there. It's just a matter of having faith in the mind. It's all in the mind game.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
If your mind's not in the game, you might as well just say,
No, look, when I watch a final, without trying to talk myself up, but when I watch a final, right, so two players on the day playing at their best, they've obviously played their best the whole day, and they get to the final, they're not doing anything that I can't do.
Yeah.
It's just they're doing it in an environment that I don't seem to be able to do it in. That's the mental side of this game is just, oh man, I don't think there's enough focus on it because your queuing action, all the rest of it is one thing, but if you haven't got it up the stairs, you're not gonna pull yourself through, and hence no titles over here.
Yeah, well, that's like with me is when I won a few tournaments, my head was clear.
Right.
My life was good. My partner was safe.
Yeah. Well, those outside influences
it's all mainly the outside. If you keep
so
that
much.
nice and calm,
Yeah.
then you should play well into the tournament, and that's what you need to focus on is the tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like pretty much is how it is. Like anybody can win the nationals. As this matter, it's just Rob Buck's what he proved it.
Right.
If you look at it, winning the Papua one against Brad Campbell in the final.
Right. Yeah.
So that was pretty interesting.
Well, it's all on the day, isn't it? It is all on the day, and I've seen some of the best players in New Zealand crumble, and I've seen some, that they would admit themselves that their average players go way deeper than they ever expected to, because on the day it all just felt right? You just never know what you're going to encounter. I think that's one of the hooks that keeps us all baited, right? We're all in it because you just don't know. It'd be great to think we could go to every tournament and turn it on every time like some of them do, but it's a struggle. It's a struggle, but sometimes you get it right, and it's a pretty cool feeling.
It is an amazing feeling, especially when you know you've gone down to 3-3 and you're there for the clearance and all you can only say, okay, tap, 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 and it's over. And I said, oh my gosh, I just did that.
On top of that as well, do you think there'll be any dark horses in this tournament coming up, the Nationals?
Oh, there's so many dark horses in this tournament, quite honest.
And it comes down to form, doesn't it?
Yep.
Like, I mean, dark horse is probably a bit derogatory in the sense that we're not saying they're bad players and they can perform occasionally, but there's some that are showing some promise in recent form to say...
Two young players I can see promising in this tournament and probably go deep is Sean Biggs and Jack Biggs.
100%.
Yep.
Yeah.
The way how Jack's putting down that ball.
Yeah.
If you can focus on his attitude a bit more, then I think he can go a little bit further.
Yeah.
Sean is nice and calm. He's just playing the balls how he sees it. And that's what they do. These young fellas got no fear.
They're fearless, yeah, exactly.
They're fearless.
You took the words out of my mouth. Yeah, absolutely
they're
fearless.
really fearless. All these young players that's playing is real fearless, and that's a worry for us old players.
Yeah.
Because we do feel, oh shit, we're going to get kicked the ass by a 12-year-old, and next one, oh shit.
Yeah.
And that just happened.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of, these rules, the Charter Club rules, kind of allow for that negativity because there is a plus side to the negative game.
Yeah.
And I quite often default to that because, I didn't pot that ball. Okay, tie them up. And it's a 50-50 game a lot of the time as well.
Yep.
But yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, Jack and Sean, I mean, it doesn't matter what table they're playing on, they can do it.
Yep.
And their mental side of thing, I mean, they've literally won world championships, right? So it's not like they're inexperienced in way of pressure scenarios. So
they've been there, and not only that, the appearances behind them, oh man, they are amazing.
Yeah, totally.
They're awesome to talk with. They're awesome to drink with. Obviously.
Not the kids, that is, for the record. The parents,
Jake still tries to sneak one from his dad, but that still doesn't work.
Yeah. Very good. Well, I think that's probably a good note to end it on. Couple of favourites for the. I mean, Lucas, have you got favourites? Who you've been watching throughout the year that you think is capable of coming and doing some damage? No idea. Not interested. Cool.
Nah.
What about you, Brad?
It's the standard names that everyone would expect, to be honest. The ones that are in form, that always seem to be in form. Healy, Adam Lilly. You could never dismiss Glenn Coots or Phil Wilkinson.
Like one player that maybe flies under the radar a bit is maybe Dion Rawlings. He just got to the finals in the last
100%.
tournament. I don't know if he's playing in the Nationals or not, but
I believe he is.
Yeah. No, Dion's been playing rock solid lately. Really rock solid. Yeah, I mean, like we say, it's all on the day, but I think Dion's definitely got the potential to upset some people, if nothing else.
Well, he's got deep in pretty much every tournament I've seen him at least.
The other night, the standard ones, the Simon Singleton, he's worthy of a mention because regardless of how much he claims he's practicing or he's not practicing, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
right? He can come in from a 3-month exclusion from tables and still break and clear. So
don't get me wrong with Simon Singleton. He's awesome to chat with off the table. I've actually had a chat with him, and he's helped me out through the ropes, out through my pool career.
Simon's got some. Maybe not everyone agrees with how he looks at things, but I actually really appreciate the way he looks at bits and pieces because. I think a lot of people dismiss it as he's looking at it from a top tier level down, and he's looking down, and it's actually not the case. A lot of his ideas have nothing to do with the top tier stuff. It's about inclusion and bringing the game forward. Plus, he's also got some experience in the UK side of things, and he knows where they're at, and he can probably see holes in what we have here in New Zealand. So.
I was watching him. I think it was we were at Kashmir last year, and he was talking to one of the juniors, and I just overheard for what he was saying to one of the juniors, and he was giving some advice, and I said, "Oh wow, it's good to see top players talking to juniors, even up and coming players coming through, talking about stuff what they want to work on."
Well, I think there's been a bit of a change in attitudes towards, certainly back in the day. The higher echelon players used to be quite guarded. So there was a tournament that I'd heard of that I thought, a pub tournament, and it's got big prize money. Oh, I'm going to rock along to that. I've never even heard of this tournament. It was a peers tournament, a pub tournament in Palmerston North. And it was me and Nick Spears actually teamed up. We're like, oh my God, a pub tournament. We've got this one in the bag, mate. Rock up. So we even had some sponsorship behind us and went up there, had our accommodation, everything paid for. Stayed the first night and turned up in the morning. There's Harry Hyinger, Itchy Tamasaga, Craig Steinmetz, Mark Beveridge, Wayne Timmins. And they're like, what are you guys doing here? It's like, well, more to the point, what are you guys doing keeping this tournament quiet? And they're like, why would we tell any other good players we want to win it? It's like, okay. I see how it is. And I've always been inclusive, right? I want the good players to come to the tournaments because I feel it lifts the standard for that tournament. The more good players there are, the more everyone else has to try, and everyone takes something away from that. And I think there's been a shift in that. I think the mindset is more encouraging now rather than keeping it quiet and not telling people how to get ahead.
Yes.
And there's been, I mean, I've remember Simon Singleton referencing Harry Hyinger said to him at a tournament one time that helped his game. I think there's a shift in handing down that knowledge. It's not just go figure it out yourself, boy. You'll do it one day, but for the moment, I'm taking the chocolates, right? And a lot of these senior / junior players pairing up for the peers, I think that's a step in the right direction. Handing down the knowledge, handing up the knowledge. A lot of the time, the juniors are actually teaching the seniors something as well. So it's good. It's good to see a change in that and people wanting others to succeed, not guarding it for themselves.
Yes.
There's a few advocates for the sport in that sense too. Phil Wilkinson being a major one, Glenn Cooch much the same. Very encouraging.
Yep.
Cool. Well, on that beautiful positive note,
Yeah, I'll just quickly do a quickly shameless plug for that. We're going to be at the Miniwera Cozy Club for the national streaming as well. So if you see us, hit us up. I'm sure Marino would love to chat to some of yous, and Brody not so much. But
yeah, well, there's also some spots available for guest commentators as well, just to take the load off us. We're not here trying to control the sport to any degree, or try and say that we're doing it the best either. So if you want to come sit down, have a chat, or even take over the commentary for half an hour or something while Lucas goes and stuffs his face, that would be great.
I think that'd be more like Brady than Lucas.
I mean, I'll go with him.
No, I'm talking about beers.
Oh no, I'm talking about food. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. But yeah, it's a bit of an open platform, and if anyone's got anything to chat about or discuss, come and hit us up. We'll be set up over in the corner, out of earshot of the players, and we're
Most
also
likely.
going to have a little podcast room set up for some chats with other players throughout the week as well. So if you want to come and have a chat, come and have a chat to Lucas or I, and we'll work it out. We'll see you all at the Nationals.
yeah, cheers, guys. See ya.
Thanks, Marino.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me on board.
No worries.